Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. The same study said to get equality between men and women financially will take 170 years. Means never. Again, am I the only fucking guy that keeps track of this shit? Maybe I am. 131 to get, so they're treated the same in business. The more important one is 170 financially. But the women have it easier. There's a slide I'm not going to use when I was rearranging slides late last night when I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning and worked from 2 till 5. And then this morning, the movie A Few Great Men with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. And there's a scene where Tom Cruise, the lawyer, is asking Jack Nicholson, the colonel, some bullshit. And he says, "You can't take the truth." And neither can you. If you really understood the system, you wouldn't be here. Because backwards, 0.00001% of the planet can do this. We got that right? Yeah. 5 zeros. So of 8 billion people, maybe 800,000. Effectively and be a grand marshal at the next Clint Eastwood rodeo. And the odds are the fact that we can get 2 for sure, and maybe 4 out of a group like this is due to me, not due to you at all. So I'm not giving you any credit. It's due to me because I've been doing this 30 years and I know how to do it. But you've got a better chance of flying, jumping off a 5,000-foot cliff with no parachute. Yes, some people still do it. Get it done. By the way, Mr. KLESZCZ. Okay, well, you got to do a little more than that. Okay. When I was reading these yesterday, and over the 30 years, we've had guys with iron lungs. Everybody know what an iron lung is? It's a big machine, and then you sit in it because none of your body functions, and so it squeezes you up and down. And it's not dissimilar to my. Just a minute. Not too dissimilar to my. My hyperbaric chamber that have done this deal. Made a couple $100 million, died. Couldn't see anybody, couldn't meet with anybody. Could barely talk. It was on one of those machines like Professor Hawkins was towards the end of his life. Wasn't able, to interview. And then we got you. We've had people that wanted to read my book before they died. That's all. And then we got you. And I can go through 1,000 metaphors. I haven't forgot your question. I can go through 1,000 metaphors. And then we got you. And I've said countless times, people come here because out of desperation or inspiration. One or two of you think that you're inspired here and you're not. You're at a crossroads, and I've said this 1,000 times on YouTube, where we're assuming the earth is flat because most of the world still pretends like it's flat, but it's not flat. And this is the last town on the edge of the earth before you go over the precipice, and we're the last bar You can get a drink. And it's either here or never. Because most of you in this room have tried at least one other program. You may have even tried this program and failed at it. In the 90s, in the late 90s, we had a gal who was actually up there who had spent $240,000. Now, this is 30 years ago, 25 years ago, on personal development shit. And and she was a fairly successful real estate developer. And she bought an electrical company so her husband could have a job because he was a worthless piece of shit. And then and then it was like magic. It clicked like this. Some of the people, and again, then there were no webinars, there were no handouts. I had probably 250 slides, maybe. We didn't have slides. We had these overhead things. You put it down, and it overhead projected. And the more materials we give, the more materials you want. The more support we give, the more support you want. And then when we did away with the mentor program, you would have thought that I cut off. You would have thought I cut off the oxygen of my mentees. I mean, panic's not the right word. Whatever transcends panic, God, they went fucking crazy. They went crazy. And when we stopped charging for the various things we used to have online, we still do have online, and we cut out customer service, somebody that bought something in 1994 wanted to know if, he's still, we didn't give lifetime guarantees because I don't believe in that shit, lifetime guarantee. I have a septic tank here that I put in 1984, 1985. There was supposed to be only one septic tank I'd have to ever put in. Only one. About 1992, the state manager there came to me and told me there were people there, measuring shit back in the trees and stuff. What are they doing there? They're measuring for a new septic tank, Mr. Peña. What are you talking about? Yeah, the old septic tank is, we're probably in violation of whatever you're in violation for. That's bullshit. And then, of course, I don't know where the guarantee was, but it didn't make a shit, And 3 septic tanks later, I've been here 40 years. At least they don't tell you it's a lifetime guarantee anymore. This program is a lifetime guarantee if you use it. Well, I had to put in a tennis court back in the day, lifetime guarantee. It pisses me off so much as you walk towards that gate. On the right, there's a big wall of trees. And if you go beyond that wall of trees, you can see where the dug-up tennis court is, and I just left it there. Because I used to make my kids, remember the slip of the sandal beating the kids? I used to make my kids play tennis 2 to 4 hours a day, 365 days a year. And when they weren't playing tennis, they were playing golf. And when they weren't doing that, they were doing karate. I made my kids dress for dinner every fucking night. To this day, my middle boy, or my youngest son, doesn't go to black tie functions because he can't stand to put on a tuxedo. So you can't overdo it. And I did. I've always believed if you're supposed to take 4 pills, I take 10. If you're supposed to take 3 peptides, I take 9. I've always believed if you're supposed to be in the hyperbaric chamber 2 hours, I'm in 9 hours. I always believed more was better. I still do to this day. But there's no lifetime guarantees other than if you pull the trigger. And the fact that women have it easier, and will have, and they're going to get financial equality in about 170 years, more or less. And all the studies are plus or minus 20%, plus or minus 10%. We've had people, I'm not going to ask, that from this seminar they go to their next seminar. And I used to be on the cycle back in the day. For one reason, Tony was giving a seminar in London when I was doing this. So you could go here and then go to Tony. And then you could go to J. Abraham in San Francisco. And then you could go, so you could go on a seminar tour for, 6, 7, 8, 10 weeks. None of those people are up there. And we were talking about a guru that some of you have followed, a European guru that I trained starting 25 years ago, 18 years ago, 12 years ago, and then 8 or 9 years ago. Because he's been to the seminar 3 times, and he went bust after the first time. He went bust after the second time. And then after the third time, he gave his soul to God or somebody, I don't know. And so he's pretty successful now. And a lot of people are here because of him. Not a lot, over the years. And then another guy that I put in jail, actually, who still speaks very highly of me. He sends a lot of people here. Dan changed my life. I think the prison time changed his life, not that I changed his life. And then I put another guy in jail, and I went and testified. And I still remember in Germany, the German prosecutor says, Mr. Peña, it's very unusual to have somebody like you to come here and testify against this guy. And I said, he deserves to be in jail. And I'm here to make sure he goes to jail. Because when people like me get after you, you might as well give your fucking soul to God. Because I'm going to chop you up for fucking, dog food. But unless you pull the trigger, kids, doesn't mean shit. This afternoon, we're going to show you, not a scale, that's the wrong word, not a spreadsheet. But I alluded to it yesterday, it's a 60-day plan to do a deal. And the bright ones of you, which may not have effect, cut it in half so you can do it in 30 days. And then the brighter ones cut it a half again so you can do it in 15 days. And that's what the pig fucker followed. And it's right there. And if you get behind, you can catch up, That in conjunction with the weekly report, it's for you, not for me anymore. But if you use the weekly report, for those of you that have employees, just like that pound guarantee against $1 million over there, I'll bet you £1 million that at least half your employees will quit. You don't have, today after lunch, I'm going to show you how you can hire people and never worry about it, If the girl comes in with her skirt crooked, you can fire her. I'm not suggesting you do that. But in the old days, women used to wear stockings that looked like, they were crossed like this. I don't know and the stockings that they used to hook up here. And the joke was, on Wall Street, it's not a joke now, when the good-looking girls, nobody ever bothered with the ugly girls. When the good-looking girls would come in with their stockings that weren't straight, the spread was kind of skewed, fire them. Now, those days don't exist anymore. Any questions about what you saw last night? Comments? What did you see last night? Professor Raymond. He is 820-some days to do his first deal. I think he says that, doesn't he? Yeah.
What industry is he in?
Cybersecurity, government contracts. But he's rolling up the companies that rolled up government contracts. And we haven't had anybody do that since me, 40-some years ago. And a lot of people say, well, how did you do $50 million your first year in business with no employees? With great difficulty, is my normal answer. But if you drill down, it's because I did a government contract. I bid it and was successful on 2 government contracts, and the government gave me a 3rd contract because I had completed the first two. So we got 10. I still remember the bank manager calling on the weekend and said that I need to talk to Mr. Peña. This is him. This is he. And he says, you know, you got another $10 million in the bank from the FDIC or whatever, not the FDIC, but the federal government. And my contract's over. He says, not according to this $10 million that just came in. And they just extended the contract because once you get on the tit, the government tit, it's like, I've never breastfed anybody. I've had my tits sucked on a few times, but I've never breastfed anybody. And you can't wiggle off. But in the history of this seminar, 31 years, we've had maybe, not counting the last since Corona, less than that many people do government contracts. Less than. Actually, 8. Since Corona shut down, and it all started, and we have a couple of billionaires because of the masks, selling masks to the government during Corona. We've got probably 40, 50 more, one of which is Raymond. And I believe in the video he said he'd come down Friday at 5 o'clock from his office, and his wife and the LOI had expired, and so nobody, and then on the 7th or 8th deal, they accepted it. And now he's done 3 or 4 or 5 other deals, and he's got EBITDA, I don't know, 25 or 30, 40 million, something like that. But he listened to what exactly did you do on the one-on-one? He didn't ask the questions you asked, and the questions you're going to ask. Exactly, Dan, how did you, just tell me exactly, please. So I did. But then I felt obligated to tell the class, so after his one-on-one, I told the class the same thing, and just like you, you know, not paying attention, trying to sneak your cell phone so I can't see it under the desk. But he did exactly. But it took him 822 days. But you can't last 8 days. He had actually some money, so he could wait it out. And now he knows he could do it in 20 days because, of course, you always know hindsight's 20/20. And so he made a lot of mistakes. And then now he's got a system, which he went through. And any questions on that system? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So during the slides, he was showing us how he does it, and then you step in and say that you've never even done.
I said, at least once, I said, 95% of the things that he's done, I've never done, I don't know how to do. Which is God's truth. Because he wants to know why instead of the how. He wants to know why the auction process is so fucked up in the federal government. So he did research on it. And the Canadians and the Brits and the French and everybody and their dog has a similar process. But 10 million items every single day in America, not the United States, not North America, I mean, the United States, are up for bid, government contract. 10 million every day. In the UK, it's 1 million every day. In Canada, it's about 700,000 or 800,000 every day. In Germany, it's about 500,000 every day. Every fucking day. And when I did it, they only were up for a bid April and October. I don't know why they picked April and October, but that's what they did. And the questions about Raymond? Yes, sir.
Is he buying a lot of minority-owned, women-owned businesses?
No. No, well, I mean, he when he had done that thing and he came here, and he was proud as punch, as you could tell, when he was here. And all these guys they want to explain to you, really, that they're smart and you can be smart too. That's really why these guys, because I didn't pay him anything, But now he's bought a couple.
How does that impact his future ability on earnings if he's no longer a minority woman-owned business?
Oh, no, that's not how he applied. He's not a minority-owned business. He applied straight up. He was heads up. And when we get to this later on in the week, 15% of all business done by the United States government has to be done on what's called a set-aside. Set-aside. And there's various things. And part of that set-aside is you got your vet, you got one arm, you're a gal, you're black, you're brown, you're yellow, whatever, set aside. Okay. That's not how he did it, because he's not a vet. Okay.
I just didn't know if those were the businesses he bought. Like he bought from a one-armed black woman.
No, he bought from a one-armed black woman that had rolled up 9 other companies. So they were part of her or its portfolio. Okay. And but at Boeing, the thing that they fucked up and they couldn't bring the astronauts back. That's my recent example. And of course, Boeing doesn't like it, but the 15% of that thing that supposedly didn't work, but did work, but they thought the risk was too high to bring it with astronauts, was set aside. You could have bid on it. I could have, anybody was set aside. And some of the integral parts were bid on and provided by some of my mentees. And then, of course, Elon Musk saves the day